like a boss.
Huh.
Let's go with the next one that comes in. Mona. Sexy girl Mona. Getting ready for a night out on the town. Cool. So what we'll do, you guys, is I'm gonna chop this part out for anybody that doesn't make the live stream. You'll still be able to see real-time technical analysis. If you'd like to follow me on TradingView, you can do that. I post all of these charts to my page there as well. It is BD Kelly 1203, and I do a lot of technical analysis, so just jump on TradingView and you will be able to check these charts out at another time in the future. And so for today's chart, we will be looking at Mona. If you remember, once upon a time I made a video called The Secrets of the Pyramids, where basically I went in and showed you how sacred geometry and fractal harmonics came together to make all of these charts flow in cycles. And Mona was one of the charts to where we pinned that thing down within hours of breaking out. It was really amazing. A lot of people made a lot of money with that trade. And essentially that is going to be the new cycle that Mona goes on moving into the future. So that being said, you guys, that is more or less the energy inside this chart, fractalized and reproduced and replicated in 3 different dimensions on a 2D surface with a 7 and 77. Bam. And that's how you chart like a boss.
Huh.
And so my goal moving forward is, to try and get to the best situation to allow people to make a lot more money, right? So what we'll do is, what I want to do, you know what? I'm just going to start a new chart altogether, because I know, we have a lot of new people. Bitcoin is about to boom out over the next 2 months. So people are going to be coming from all over the world watching these videos, wondering, how do you do it? How do you set it up? What's the boss method? So what I'll do in the meantime is just, every time just walk you guys through real quick how to set it up exactly how I see the charts. So if we go to Mona, to Bitcoin, right, we always want to look at the Bitcoin chart, right? We don't want to trade to the dollar, number one, because the dollar is not indicative of blockchain-based protocols. It's merely a metric, a unit, a standard, right? Our job is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as fast as possible. We assume that Bitcoin, just by being deflationary in value, will always beat the dollar. So over time. So that's why we accumulate Bitcoin, knowing that when we accumulate Bitcoin, we accumulate dollars as well as a result. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to set up the boss method on this chart. You see right now we have one indicator, the volume, right? If we click that, turns it off. We don't really need that. I don't really use it. Next we go to indicators. BK. BK's Pro Tools, boom, boom. Scale right, good, good, good. And for this guy, what we have is a system of 3 simple moving averages, a 7, a 21, a 77, and a 231. I normally don't use the 21. We don't really need it that often. And the 231 is kind of like these big gray columns in the back. I just like to fade them out a little bit just so we have, a little bit of depth to the wave of the cycle that we're on, right? And a simple rule of the boss method is 2 rules. Rule number one, when the white goes above the blue, you know what to do. Put down your money and go get paid. Bam! White above blue, buy. Right? And when the white goes below, it's got to go. Right? So you can see when that white line goes below that blue, more than likely the energy is dead. Right? There's no more buyers in the market. On the other side, consequently, when the white goes above the blue, let's see what happened. If you were in on this trade, I was. We're looking at 33% in 4 days like a boss. That's not too bad at all, right? And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this chart down using a little bit more information just to see what's happening up under the hood. I like my axis on the left-hand side. I don't know about you guys, but I do. I also like to turn the candles off, so let's go ahead, clear that. And then last thing I'm gonna do is if you have a paid account, I believe it's like $9 or $10 a month, you can use custom candles. So all you do is go down here and in minutes you want to type in 343. That is by far the best harmonic candle to use for the boss method. Base 7 system, 7 times 7 times 7 is 343, and this thing works like magic in making us money, right? So what we see with Mona right away is we basically have all these little cycles, right? Remember, I tell you it's basically 3 parts to any cycle, and this is any cycle forever. It's not just Mona, it's not just Bitcoin, it's any cycle forever. You have 3 parts: breakout, breakdown, flatline. Breakout, breakdown, flatline. That was like a little continued decline for Bitcoin. So a lot of times we have those, and even within that, check this out. It's like breakout, breakdown, flatline, breakout, breakdown, flatline, breakout, breakdown, flatline. You see that? So even in that one cycle, there were 1, 2, 3 different cycles in itself. And this is where a lot of Elliott wave theory comes in. That one cycle, one wave, so to speak, leads into the next, leads into the next. It's all, you know, different variations of the exact same understanding that, you know, nothing is independent. Everything is interconnected, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It merely transforms from one asset or one form to another. Therefore, we infer that to mean that the energy inside of Mona's chart right there at that moment in time is the exact same as the energy inside of Mona's chart at that moment in time. Therefore, we can infer different relationships such as this on a Fibonacci, to where if we said this cycle right here that we just circled, highlighted in that blue box, will give us all of this energy that we're talking about right now, right? So what we did right here was I did that very quick, but one of the things I did was I took a Fibonacci from breakout to breakdown right there, boom, boom, just the start of that cycle. And what that gave me, almost like magic, was the exact moment in time that we were going to break down. We broke down on the 2-4, we confirmed on the 1-6, and this is why a while ago I sold Mona, because I saw this happen, and that was not a good situation. That was basically that indicator that we're doing a full deep cycle reset, to where basically instead of consolidating down to the 1-2 or the 1-6, you know, we went all the way under, you know, and we just now caught on the 786. So basically this little zone right here, let me put this in like a yellow box for you guys. This little zone right there is more or less the exact same area of the chart that we are coming back to now before we can break out on our next cycle. What does our next cycle look like? Well, again, it's 3 parts to any given cycle. Put this in like purple. and that's breakout, breakdown, flatline, right? So all we did, if we look at Mona's entire chart, breakout, breakdown, flatline, really, she just gave us 2 major cycles, and I call these the macro cycles, right? This is basically one cycle, even though it had a few other small cycles in it, you know, this big cycle here lasted 47 days, you know, yielding about 230%, right? The next cycle lasted 90 days almost. Notice this one is like the half-life of that one. You know, this all, which means that basically the area of, this is pretty cool. Mona is amazing chart, guys. The area of that triangle is more or less twice the area of the other triangle. But we won't get into that. That's more like vector mechanics. I don't want to talk about that to confuse you guys. So we have basically a 45-day cycle in this blue box right there, and we have a 90-day cycle in that blue box right there, right? What's gonna happen next? Well, simple geometry would tell you that we should probably expect something like that. And that's just going back to what happened in the past, right? Remember, one cycle leads into the next, leads into the next. The only thing I did, took a triangle from breakout, breakdown to the intersection, this last major intersection. I could even extend it all the way out if I wanted to get, you know, general, just to err on the side of caution. Put that back over there. And now you have a situation to where Mona will break out and essentially form a second high point up there. We're going to test all-time highs. However, instead of breaking down like we did here and going all the way back down for a full cycle reset, I think that it's very possible that we do something like this and come up on another wave of energy that will break us all the way through to the next Fibonacci right there, right? If we look at when we expect that to happen, and mainly that is speculation. However, I am speculating given the assumption that I expect cryptocurrency to rise in the spring, just as it did last spring and the spring before that. Again, everything happens in cycles. A lot of these charts operate on 9 or 12-month cycles. And all I'm saying is I don't expect Mona to be an exception to that. If I did a cycle line from there to there, right? Again, this was our first little cycle right there, right? That means that this one is our second cycle. So this was generally breakout, breakdown, flatline, breakout, breakdown, flatline. Yeah, this is gonna cap out right around here, right around this time. So if you don't have Mona, now's not a bad time to look at getting it. We'll have a lot of energy coming inside this thing, and probably around the first week of March, you know, we should see Mona test all-time highs. That will be right at 12. I would say anything over 12, if you ride it all the way up, you know, that's not a bad place to look for, you know, profit seeking, because that's basically 100% more or less inside of a couple weeks. I think Mona can go that high. If we were going to err on the side of caution, you would just say, okay, maybe she'll go down a little bit and get there on the next cycle. That will be 2 months. So 125% for 2 months, almost pretty standard. Or you may get it as quick as 15 days. That 15 days doesn't really seem right. Let's do this. See, it's different. This one is different. So we understand that, right? We understand all those lines. What I'll do is I'll just bring this Fibonacci back here. So we have that, right? Now I need to figure out the distance of this stuff. That one wants to go there. That one wants to go there too. Positive, negative, positive. Yeah, okay. So I hit 2 showing that first week in March was the earliest you can get it. And this one basically says that first week in April is the latest you can get it. And actually, I would think that would probably happen a little bit quicker because it doesn't normally need that whole time. So you would actually probably be looking at something like that. So yeah, first week in March to third week in March. So yeah, basically, I mean, Mona's a good chart. The whole, put it this way, most of March, Mona should be a pretty good buy. And you're looking at anywhere between right there, 50% and 120%, right? Because if we take that and go all the way up to the next one, there you go, 120%. And that's pretty good. That's not a bad selection. Mona, this chart, you know, basically if we look at it, what happened was had a huge cycle, cooled off a little bit, and now it's about to go up on another wave. This is similar to what Litecoin did, Omisi Gold, Neo. You know, a lot of these coins, newer, stronger coins, have not even had one complete cycle to where you can say that that 231 formed a bell curve, a dovetail, you know, and leveled off like that. Most of these coins are so strong that they're literally, you know, consolidating 3/4 of the way up, finding some stable ground and going back to work like that, right? And that's what I think Mona can easily do, just on a generalization. If we did something, you know, like this and said that's all the energy in Mona, then we would be looking at, to replicate it, something like that. To where again, early April is a pretty good time. You also have another quick triangle, quick breakout triangle right there. That's gonna happen, already started to happen. And this is your swing zone. Yeah, middle of March. Middle of March is probably when this thing will consolidate, so it could easily, you know, continue to break out, do something like that, come down, go sideways, and then go back up. It's going to be a good coin, which is exactly what it did over here. History oftentimes does not repeat itself, but it sure enough does rhyme. Anything north of 0012, I would be looking to short it, to buy it back and ride the next wave up. Right, there you go. That's Mona. A little bit more of a complex chart. I showed you a few different strategies you can use. The biggest one, I think, is really the simplest one, and that's when the white goes over to blue, you buy it, and that's the situation right now. Once we have that blue come over those columns, that's probably when we'll get that second wave I told you about that will take us to all-time highs. That has not happened yet, so you know, just wait on it. But it is well under works in the way, and it should happen before the middle of April. So there you go, guys. That's Mona. Again, if you're just getting set up, one of the things I try to do for you guys is make it very easy to make money. It took me, you know, a decent amount of time to figure out how to make money, and I believe that knowledge is power, and knowledge should be free. So one of the things I did was put together a little website, bossofbitcoin.com, and on that website you have a streamlined path to success, right? Cryptopolis Report is a list of coins I put together that I feel are literally redefining civilization. If you haven't gotten it, you probably should. This will be the best set of coins going into the spring. These coins are ready to boom out, and the dream team is right behind them. If you just have a few, a $20 bill, actually, you can buy every single coin on this list. These are two of my most prized possessions. That's why they've been on this website so long, because I think they are that important for 2018 and moving forward. Anybody getting started, getting set up, should definitely have a look at one of these lists just to understand what the market looks like and what the best coins are, to start a portfolio with. In addition to that, I did want to let you guys know, everybody that's new, you most certainly are able to book a one-on-one meeting with Diana. My calendar is pretty full, and I know Miss Rodriguez has done a lot for our community insofar as the charts and the videos and the Facebook group is concerned. So now she is available for one-on-one appointments. So all you got to do is jump on there. You'll get a link to her calendar, and you pick a time that works, and you guys can look at making some money together, right? I'm working on a lot of other things, so she's been able to offer her availability for people getting set up, right? So there you go, bossofbitcoin.com to help you out, and also the #1 Facebook group in the world. Now let's go ahead and make this money.
Like a boss.
Huh. Huh.